1990 was arguably the biggest and most ambitious year that Walt Disney Home Video and the Walt Disney Classics line had ever had. There were many, many different candidates that were made available for the releases of 1990. One of the most obvious choices was Peter Pan, following its 1989 re-release to theaters. Now, there were multiple different titles that were considered for an earlier slot or a later slot in 1990. These included The Rescuers, The Black Cauldron, among many others. Long story short, Disney did not count on the immeasurable success of one particular film that would come out in the fall of 1989. The Little Mermaid stunned everyone with how good and successful it was. So The Little Mermaid would become the first post-Untouchable Disney film released into the Walt Disney Classics line, and the first Disney film in the animation canon to be released to home video without getting a proper re-release. I have 2 copies of The Little Mermaid. I can't really tell you why, I just happen to have 2 of them. Has a vertical ink label, so the first of the ink label tapes. Now, before you sit there and go, well, how do we know this is legit or not? Always look for a print date. February 2nd, 1990. And The Little Mermaid was huge on home video, selling 10 million copies, 2 of which I own. So let's take a look at the second one. Of course, The Little Mermaid has the infamous cover that some people on eBay have been selling for ridiculous prices, even though you can buy these pretty much at your local thrift store if they have them for like $1, maybe $2, depending on how they sell them. The Little Mermaid, and a print date for this of, it's a little smudged, but I think it says March 20th, 1990. The Little Mermaid would be released in the spring of 1990 on home video, and yeah, it was a big hit. Like a very, very big hit. Something that really cannot be denied to it, even if you're not a particularly huge fan of the movie. It was a huge home video in 1990. And 1990 would be capped off with the release of Peter Pan. I have 2 releases of Peter Pan. You'll find out why. Sorry, in a moment. We have Peter Pan. Duh. This was released and had a little bit less success than Cinderella and Little Mermaid had. So it had 7 million copies sold. It was pretty successful. Nothing too sad or too drastic about it. It was Peter Pan. What'd you expect? Everyone grew up with Peter Pan, and you either loved it or you thought it was just a little overrated and uncomfortable to watch, like me. Wow, that's an early one. March 24th, 1990, before The Little Mermaid had even come out for this one. As you can see, the ink label for Peter Pan here is huge, which is going to be different with the other tape that I have. Again, same cover, same Walt Disney Classics and all them shenanigans. And a tiny one. Instead of the big diamond of the classics, it's a tiny one. And Peter Pan is also tiny. So it's nice. Both of these films, as I said, would go on to sell about 17 million copies worldwide and would go back into the Disney vault in, I think, March or April of 1991. The Little Mermaid does not have any previews on it, for those of you who are looking for that. Peter Pan had a trailer for The Rescuers Down Under, a teaser trailer, and then for a home video release of The Little Mermaid. But 1990 was Disney's biggest year so far, and wouldn't you know it, they just felt like going bigger and bigger and bigger. So stay tuned for 1991.